to go.
Cool!
Just one more thing. We'd like to end today's presentation with one final video for you all. Thank you for tuning in.
Alright, let's see what this one more thing is. Here we go. What is happening here? Hello, Game Freak. What are you doing? Okay. My friend said that's some Splatoon sounding music. What is going on? What is with the theatrics? I have no idea what this is. Lumiose City? Wait, why are we... Lumiose City. Wait a minute. What is going on here? Oh! Are you kidding me? Are you... Ain't no way! Pokemon Z real, boys! Pokemon Z real! Oh my goodness, that is so hilarious. That is so hilarious. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. Oh my goodness. Okay. That is... Well, this was unexpected. Hey everyone, it's Nux, and today we're going to talk about Pokemon, and it's been a minute since I've talked about Pokemon, and why is that? Well, it's pretty much a similar reason to why my uploads haven't been fully consistent, which is that things are a bit slow when it comes to that franchise. Like, in terms of what I actually like about the current franchise's direction, yeah, it's very weird, to say the least. With Pokemon, it's not like, I have no faith that they can ever make a good game again. Like, just like with Sonic, obviously if I had like zero faith in a franchise like Pokemon, then I wouldn't be making this video. But the current state of Pokemon has just been a very mixed bag for me lately. Like, there's obviously been good games on the Nintendo Switch, like the new Pokemon Snap or the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon remake, but that's obviously not the mainline series. The mainline series has been in a very hit or miss position. Like, we had Pokemon Sword and Shield, which were very disappointing games for me, and then you get the Scarlet and Violet, which are games that I think had some interesting ideas for sure, but like, then you look at the game and it's like super glitchy, like you can't enter freaking houses. Like, it's very clear that that game was very rushed and very unfinished, and because of the state of that game, it just left me in a very like weird position with the franchise. And then obviously that reflects on the community, and when the community just gets absolutely obnoxious, that's especially what tunes me out of a franchise. Like, it's bad enough I gotta deal with the Sonic community and their BS 24/7, but like with the Pokemon community, it's especially gotten bad. Like, it's like you see people argue every other day about what the best generation was, how Pokemon is this irredeemable franchise now and how it needs to die. And then, of course, you have the comparisons to other series right now, such as Power World, which was like a huge, like, controversial thing that I don't even want to get into for this video. Point is that while I very much still follow the Pokemon franchise, and I have some faith that they could turn themselves around. Obviously, you know, going into this recent Pokemon Presents, I wasn't too confident in that just yet. However, how they've managed to turn around and win some goodwill with people is what game they specifically revealed. Now, going into this Pokemon Presents, a lot of people expected something like Let's Go Johto, or remakes of the Unova games, or a Legends game for Johto or Unova. Like, that was the big speculated and rumored thing for what was going to happen in this Pokemon Presents. And for most of this Pokemon Presents, man, was it a snoozer. Like, I cannot stress enough that I really wish they would buckle down and focus more on spin-offs as like go-to games to put out while we wait for the mainline Pokemon games. Like, I feel like if they just focused on making some decent spin-offs while we wait for the mainline games, then they wouldn't have to feel the need to rush a Pokemon game out every freaking year. Like, that's a big part of the problem, and man, this Pokemon Presents was not the answer to addressing that, because like, man, was it so boring for most of it. Like, they mostly focus on the mobile games, and I just do not care for any of them. Pokemon Unite, Pokemon 𝗃𝗃 remakes, all the other ones, like they had even announced a new one for the trading card game, which that one, I do think that makes sense, like especially with, you know, how bad things are getting with like the physical Pokemon trading cards. I think it makes sense to announce a digital Pokemon trading card game. But man, I just want my mystery dungeons, I just want my Pokemon Rangers, I just want freaking Pokepark free. I want all of that. So yeah, like otherwise I just didn't care for most of this Pokemon Presents. However, that all changed when we got to the end of the Pokemon Presents, which revealed Pokemon Legends ZA. I thought it was Pokemon Legends Z at first, but no, it's Pokemon Legends ZA, which is just weird, but we know why it's ZA. But yeah, Pokemon Z Real, boys. Pokemon Z Real. I cannot believe it. Like, this is a game that people for the longest time, you know, speculated about and wondered, like, oh, was this something that was in development at some point, but then they scrapped it when they moved to Pokemon Sun and Moon? Like, there's been all sorts of myths, rumors, and legends around Pokemon Z. It's like one of those forbidden Nintendo games, like Metroid Dread. Metroid Dread was a game that was, you know, in development for the longest time, but it could never get off the ground. But then it eventually happened, and now that is the case with Pokemon Z, and it's just unbelievable. But this isn't just like Pokemon Z as in they're like doing Kalos again. This is a Legends game, and obviously that's probably one of the smartest things they could do right now, because Legends is like the part of the mainline series that has decent clout. Like, from what I hear, Pokemon Legends Arceus was a solid game. That's actually one of the few recent Pokemon games I haven't played, so I can't personally give my thoughts on that one per se, but I do hear that that was a solid game. So if this game could be as good as this one, it'll earn some goodwill with the mainline series, hopefully. I don't even know if Legends counts as mainline, but for the sake of this video, I'm just gonna say so, since it obviously shares a lot of gameplay fundamentals, you know what I mean. But yeah, Pokemon Legends ZA. What are my thoughts on this game? And I have a lot of thoughts. First of all, I don't think the idea of revisiting Kalos is bad on paper, because Kalos is obviously a region that had a lot of missed potential. Obviously, there were a lot of storylines and items and even Pokemon, like freaking the AZ Floret. There was a lot of stuff that felt unfinished about Kalos, and revisiting it and finally tying up those loose ends could be potentially really cool. However, we have to remember that this is a Legends game, and Legends Arceus was a game that took place in the past, and a lot of people are speculating that this game might take place in the past or it might take place in the future, and it seems to have this theme that's like exclusively around Lumiose City. So it's possible we're not exploring all of Kalos, which if that is the case, then that's definitely very disappointing, because again, I feel like Kalos is a region that there's a lot of unexplored territory with that region, and it getting a full redemption arc would be great. But if this game, you know, is like expanding the city and is going to try to do this whole big city focused game, then I think that has some potential, but it definitely could come off as boring if executed wrong for sure. So I'm very mixed on that, but we'll have to see how they execute it once the game releases. Another very exciting thing about this game is that they confirmed the return of Mega Evolution, and this was a big thing for a lot of people, because a lot of people, you know, talk about all the recent Pokemon gimmicks, Megas, Z moves, Gigantamax and all that stuff. And Mega seems to be one that a lot of people really wanted to come back. Like, a lot of people were like, Megas were so cool, and they just dropped it because Game Freak never brings back old ideas. Lo and behold, Megas are back, so I don't want to see anyone crying when Mega Tinkatonk is a thing and just absolutely dominates the competitive scene. I don't want to hear any tears or see any tears. Whatever, you get what I mean. But yeah, Megas returning is definitely very interesting. It makes me think, are a bunch of Pokemon that should have gotten Megas gonna get Megas? Like Mega Flygon, bro. That is the big one that everyone has wanted for years. I would love it if that happened. Or are we gonna get like very predictable and lame ones like freaking Mega Charizard Z, like giving yet another form to freaking Charizard because he needs another one. But yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see what they do with Megas. Legends also, to what I understand, doesn't have any multiplayer, so if it's possible that we won't see this impact the competitive scene, but if this game does have some sort of player versus player, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the recent Pokemon stack up against these Mega Evolutions, for sure. Ooh boy. But yeah, other than that, I don't think there's going to be too much else on the gimmick side. Maybe they'll bring back regional variants and we'll get like Kalos, however you say it, like forms for Pokemon. That could definitely be interesting. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how they execute this overall game. The last thing I want to talk about though is the release date, which a lot of people were afraid that this was going to be something that they rush out again, but no, this is coming out in 2025, which is very interesting. It's very interesting that it's not releasing this year for multiple reasons. First off, it's just good to see that they're not, gonna try and rush this game out as soon as possible. Like, getting as much development time as possible is a good thing, and obviously a good first step to getting Pokemon on the right track. And another thing that my brain instantly went to once we saw that 2025 release date is, how does this tie into the whole Switch 2 debacle thing? Because, man, I almost feel like I need to make a whole separate video on that, because obviously a lot of people were expecting that Switch 2, or the successor to the Nintendo Switch, was going to be a thing this year, but a lot of recent reports say otherwise on that, so that might not be a thing this time. Ooh boy, that is a whole other can of worms, let me tell you. But yeah, this really makes people wonder, like, is this gonna be like some sort of Switch 2 launch game or something like that? And I don't know what the heck is gonna happen with this game in terms of its connections to the successor to the Nintendo Switch, but all I know is that, man, this is gonna be a really dry year for gaming, let me tell you. Like, between Nintendo not releasing Switch 2 and just being slow in their game lineup, and shenanigans that are happening with Sony and Microsoft, it's gonna be a slow year for gaming. So work on those backlogs, folks. But yeah, overall, I want to be cautiously optimistic for this game. I think that there is a lot of potential to do some really cool things with this game and get Pokemon back on the right track. But if they screw this up, it could go very wrong and just continue like the negative energy of the franchise. Just like with a series like Sonic and its inconsistent quality, Pokemon becoming inconsistent in the same way will just lead to more problems, more comparisons to other franchises, and it'll just make the state of the franchise just all that more depressing. And I don't want to see that happen with Pokemon. Like, again, Pokemon is another series that I like that's up there with Sonic for me. I have a lot of love for this series. I have a lot of good memories with this series, and I want it to be better. Like, obviously, there's things I like about the newer games. I don't absolutely hate everything, but yeah, like, I do want the series to get its act together for sure. Alright, so that's pretty much everything I've got to say in this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to see more stuff like my live reactions or potential live streams, like maybe I'll go back and finish the Pokemon Y randomizer I was doing now that we're returning to Kalos, but I don't know about that. But yeah, you can follow my Twitch in the description and my other social media. This has been 𝗧𝗪𝗏, and I'm out. Peace.